What's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to be going over the small batch refinement method, and there's probably two groups of you guys watching this video right now. Those of you who are very confused and have not a clue in the world what I'm even talking about, and the other half of you which are probably like, I either stand by this method and it is the holiest method in all of ESO, or the shit doesn't work and it's a waste of time. There's those different groups of people, and we're going to be going over this because in my Crown Crates video, I actually mentioned this method and how some people utilize it, and in the comments there are people who also talked about it, but then there was also comments too, a little bit confused as to what exactly I was referencing. So I thought, well, we'll make a quick video talking about it, and why some people stand by it, why some people hate it, and why some people just don't really care. Before we jump into the video, I wanted to just give a quick reminder that we are doing the giveaway still for the month of August. These are the two winners for the month of July, and if you would like to enter, all you have to do is leave a comment, as many comments as you want on as many videos as you want. And as another kind of question of the day that I have for you guys, I was recently banned on Reddit for 7 days. This is not the first time that this has happened. I was curious if you guys would be interested in a dedicated video as to how sometimes I get myself in trouble. Such as sometimes when I make a thumbnail about like a golden curiosity, people don't believe me, even though I use the price checker in the thumbnail, and they say that it's clickbait, and then I get in trouble, and then it gets removed. So I was curious if you guys would be interested in sometimes how I find myself in those situations, but let's jump into the method. So for this method, we will be working with rubedite ore. However, this works with any refinable material essentially. This works in any crafting station. This could work for jewelry, woodworking, clothing, etc. So basically, the method itself is very, very simple. You're going to refine 5 times. You just click 5 times in your head. Doesn't matter if you do it a couple extra times or a couple less. I actually just somehow activated the woodworking station, but you activate 5 times again. You see we actually just got an alloy, which is really cool. And then we go back in. We do it again. I also now realize how close my stations are together. But basically, refine 5 times, go back in, go back out. And you can see sometimes we don't get a whole lot. Sometimes we get a decent chunk of grain, solvent, and other materials. This is essentially the heads and tails of the method. That is the easiest way I can explain it to you, and I will continue to kind of do it in the background so that you guys can watch me do it as I kind of talk about it with you guys. So let's talk about why people think this is. And that's because there was actually a big change in how crafting materials were calculated around the time when the scale caller update was released. Now all this information I'm getting, I should also preface this by saying that this is all coming from, hey, we just got another tempering alloy. This is all coming from basically Reddit threads and comment threads on the ESO forums. There's another tempering alloy. That's actually really good. So this is all coming from there. There's no actual physical... Oh my gosh. Sorry, I hate to be distracting my comments, but I'm just also watching the materials that I'm getting. And this is all done live too. And I'll give you guys my thoughts at the end. But basically, there was an update that basically changed how these materials were calculated. However, ZOS didn't really explicitly come out and say how it was changed. And people have basically tabulated that they believe that it is a better method to refine in small batches. They believe that this was done essentially to give newer players the ability who were refining less raw materials to get a higher rate of return, essentially. That is the tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that people stand by, is that when you refine less materials, you have a higher chance to get better items. It is hard-coded that way in order to give newer players the ability to get higher amounts of resources. Or the alternative could also be correlated, where if you refine a whole bunch of materials at one time, your method is significantly less because they're trying to nerf how much people are refining at one time. So both could be true and have the same effect. If I threw in 10,000 rubedite ore, the game could be hard-coded to give me worse odds as I refine more materials. Or the opposite could be true, that if I just refine a small amount of materials, you can see that I will get decent items. We've just gotten actually quite a few tempering alloys. Significantly higher than we probably would have if I had refined these all at once based on my personal experience. So let's talk about the actual statistics now. People have tried to really hard code these statistics and do physical data. However, it's very difficult when you have to calculate something that has a very low chance to spawn. Now, it's not crazy low, but it's low enough to the point where you can refine tons of materials that get nothing. Like physically, just absolutely zero tempering alloys. You could refine a couple thousand and get zero. That would not be uncommon, just because of the way that the game is coded, allegedly. But you can see we're actually getting quite a significant amount of tempering alloys, higher than I actually would have suspected we would have based on this, amount that we're kind of tabulating. So this is going to kind of go into my personal thoughts on this method. And this is going to enrage both groups of people at the same time that either believe this and those who think it's gobbledygook. I actually think that this works. I do think that the developers have changed it. I've seen enough threads where enough people have crunched tens of thousands of raw materials and they think that it works. But this is where I'm going to now make that community angry, because I'm going to say, as a personal user of ESO and someone who doesn't have crazy amounts of time because of their work schedule, I really don't do this method. I recognize it. I've done it before for jewelry material. However, when it comes to things like the clothing station and draw waxes, which for those unaware are only about 3.4K on Xbox, if it takes me 5 to 10 extra minutes and I'm only going to get a singular extra wax, it's just not worth my time. And that's where I think that the camp of people who don't believe in this method and think it's a bunch of gobbledygook kind of fall in, and it's one of those, it's not worth the time, or it just doesn't work. Let's talk a little bit about why people think that this method does have some merit, though. And this is actually going to open up a whole can of worms. We're not going to completely start fishing with this whole can of worms, but bear with me. As to why I am in Betnik following around the most random gamer tag that you'll have ever seen, that's because we are following a bot. This is not a player-operated character that we are following right now. This is a straight-up bot who is hard-coded to find specific items in the overworld, pick them up, and then give them to another account to refine. You're probably wondering why this is necessarily done. Is there such a demand for raw materials that some dude has taken the necessity to go through and make a bot on console that goes and picks up all these raw materials for him? And the answer is no. They're actually changing it and selling it for US dollars. That's why this market is so heavy, and that's why the market is flooded with raw materials. And you can see that this guy is actually, well, this bot I should say, is actually basically spamming the A button so that they get the first raw material that comes up as it spawns in. But basically, they're hard-coded to know where they are and what the respawn rates is based on the area that they're in, goes and picks them up. Now, from a ZeniMax perspective, this has been detrimental to the economy because it floods, suck it, loser, because it floods the market essentially with raw materials. And then by contrast, in addition to, it also floods it with gold mats. And this is why on console, gold mats are garbage and worth nothing, and on PC, they're worth significantly higher. This is due to the fact that on PC, the gold rate to US dollars is significantly lower, so less people are interested in creating bots for PC, even though setting up a macro would be significantly easier. And that's how these bots essentially make money. And I believe, in my personal opinion, that's why ZeniMax has changed the coding to make it to where when you refine large stacks, they probably do have it coded to give those, later players, a bit of a disadvantage. I think that's how it's hard coded. It's not an advantage to refining versus the small stack refinement, as we'll call it. It's actually a disadvantage when you refine all at once, and I believe that was the change that they made. But all of that is just a theory. A Jake Clips theories. I would say and out, but I just wanted to again thank you guys for watching and listening to my conspiracy theories on how I think that these have all kind of affected each other, how everything I think is connected, and why I think that this method has a decent bit of weight to it, even though necessarily I don't believe that it's a complete game changer that you necessarily have to do, especially if you play on console. If you play on PC, this method is significantly more worth your time to do, because gold mats are worth significantly more gold on console, or on PC, excuse me. So that's where I think you guys should consider it. Let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of bots? Do you have any experience with them? Do you think they're also the scum of the earth that completely have ruined the ESO economy for those who used to sell gold materials? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jake Clips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.